Welcome back. Welcome into the Lions Share podcast ahead of the NFL Divisional round in the NFL playoffs. We are back, and the Lions are back after their week off. It's the Lions, and it's the team that Ben Johnson famously turned down last year. It's the Washington Commanders. It's the team that Dan Quinn has turned around, and it's versus the team that Dan Campbell has pushed over the mound. It's Dan versus Dan this week in a battle of the Dans. It's Jaden Daniels versus Jared Goff. It's a revenge game that goes all the way back to 1992 for you longtime Lions, when the Lions were defeated by the Redskins in the 1992 NFC Championship game. It's the most expensive ticket in town. Ford Field's going to be rocking. Might be seismic activity. It might be an earthquake in downtown Detroit this Saturday at 8 p.m. So, guys, we're back. Hope you enjoyed your little break there. Hope the Lions enjoyed their break. So I guess Dan was wrong about the see you in 2 weeks to Kevin O'Connell. What's your thoughts on this team from Washington? The Commanders coming to town now.
I think they're a solid team. I think we had kind of tossed around the F word earlier in the year. Jaden Daniels is really good. Jaden Daniels is really, really good. Terry McClaurin's really, really good. Little sneak preview to my keys for the game later, but they're a good team. Obviously, you don't get to the NFL divisional round if you're not a good team, but I think the Lions are up for the challenge.
Andrew?
I won't say the word fraud again, I suppose. You're right, Mitchell. They're in the playoffs. They won a playoff game. Can't say that anymore. I will say I still don't think I'm ready to believe in Jaden Daniels just yet. He looks great as a rookie. Whoa. High completion percentage to start the year. We've got one season, one body of work, and I will say Dan Quinn really showing himself on how good of a coach he actually was, and Dallas never should have lost him.
Yeah, what a shame.
As far as their fans, after beating the Bucs, and you guys know me, I didn't want to play the Bucs. I thought they were a good team, so thank you, Commanders, for that. Might be getting a little ahead of themselves, chanting, "We want Detroit."
Yeah, it's similar to we want Bama in college football back in the day. It feels like that. I got a lot of respect for this team. Maybe not so much about those fans that were chanting that, but I got a lot of respect for this team. Like you guys said, can echo that. Man, Dan Quinn, I'm a big believer in him and what he's done. Obviously, he's turned around this team quickly. You know, a team that won 4 games last year, I believe. So here they are in the divisional round. So something about the Dans and head coaches. They just can turn around franchises that have struggled for so long. The Commanders have, been in the not in the limelight for a long time in that NFC East. It's been dominated by other teams. So here they are, and the Lions have a very formidable foe here. I got a lot of respect for everybody that's on that team. I feel like if they would have played the Rams or the Vikings, there would have been a lot more bad blood for me personally. The history between those two teams. Commanders a fresh team. They haven't played them this year. These teams haven't crossed paths, so I'm interested to see this game, and I'm happy it's going to be a good battle. And I think the ticket prices are a little extreme, but they're going to get a good one, I think.
A little extreme is the understatement of the century there, Ben. And you know me, I don't follow our notes there very well. Do you have, or do you know off the top of your head what the past matchups have been like between Washington and Detroit?
Yes, think back to, I believe it was 2022, back when Carson Wentz was the quarterback for the Commanders. They came to town early. I believe it was the first year. It was the first year of this year podcast, and I believe it was, don't quote me on the week, I think it was week 2, week 3, early on in the season. Commanders came to Ford Field, and they haven't played much before that. Let me double check that was 2022 for you here right now.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see their past matchups. It feels like a team that we never see, especially in the regular season. Just seems like we never really cross paths with them.
Is that a thing? Have we ever played the Commanders?
It was the Commanders in 2022. It was the first year they were the Commanders, and the Lions won that game 36-27. But
was
like you said,
Heineke
Andrew,
the quarterback?
No, like I said, I think it was Carson Wentz. Wasn't it Wentz?
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah, it was Wentz.
Yeah,
threw the ball
they
46 times.
As soon as they did the Commanders over the Red Wolves, it was over.
The Red Wolves. And that game was week 2 of the 2022 season. So
Ben.
Dan had I might have looked at those a couple days ago. No big deal. A game that the Lions put 36 up on the board, but obviously a lot of different people involved in that game than they have now. So it's not like you can glean a lot from the Commanders. Have really switched. I mean, obviously Carson Wentz is long gone, and the Lions had pieces. They had St. Brown and Goff and a few of the same faces that we know and love now. But yeah, it's hard to glean anything from that. But they did beat them the last time this team came to town. So there's your history lesson for the day. I've got a pop quiz for both of you guys here on the podcast. Mitch, this is something you've brought up in the past.
It's embarrassing when I get it wrong.
Yeah, no, I don't think you've talked about this topic, which is ages in the league, team average age. What team in these teams that are remaining in the divisional round across the NFL, which team do you think has the oldest roster?
The oldest roster?
Yeah, by average age, of course.
It feels like you want us to say
answer.
Commanders, but yeah, I'm thinking Eagles.
Should have stuck with your gut there and stayed with the Commanders. The Commanders are the oldest team in the NFL playoffs.
Is that solely due to Bobby Wagner? Just racking their average?
That's a big part of it, is Bobby Wagner. Who could forget the leading tackler on this team?
He's so good still. It's so ridiculous.
Defensive, if you've got fantasies where you got a defensive guy, he racks up the tackles. He's a good one to keep.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Oldest roster. And the youngest is the Los Angeles Rams, which that one was surprising to me too. Obviously Stafford's pretty up there in age, but I was surprised to see that. So the Packers were the youngest ones coming into the playoffs, but they're eliminated. The youngest team remaining is the Rams, followed by the Chiefs, which is a little surprising. Lions right there in the middle, and then the Commanders, average age of 28 years and 1 month.
I think LaFleur just said something, speaking of the Packers, about how they kind of... He was either asked or he might have said, I might be getting those mixed up, but essentially, like, there's a lot of chatter that the Packers need to bring in some veterans. I think that has showed quite a lot in the last few weeks of the season.
No doubt, without a doubt. Were you guys surprised at all at any of the games from last week in the wild card? Was it nice to be able to just sit back and watch without the Lions playing in that?
That part was definitely nice. Surprised by the wild card. Let's see. Andrew and I went 3-3 in our picks. So I'm trying to think. Chargers surprised me mostly just because the Texans had looked so flat, but I think it was a really weird game. But what we saw was a little bit of rookie CJ Stroud, which was kind of nice because started to feel bad for him a little bit. Nothing else really surprised me, though. I mean, the Commanders took advantage of what they could take advantage of, and Jaden Daniels is really good.
That was the big one for
the Broncos. I think if you go back to our notes, Ben, you put Bills, it's going to be close, and I said Bills, it's not going to be close.
Well, you're talking about the Steelers-Ravens. That one I was way off on.
Oh, is that the one I said that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. So Chargers kind of laid an egg, but I think it was more so about Texans defense stepping up, and when
Will Disley giving the entire game away?
Well, that, but when your entire playbook or 70% of it is throw to Ladd, feels like defenses might key in on that a little bit.
You'd think Justin Herbert would take a bigger step forward. I mean, this is what we talked about the last few years. They were the team that's been a play or two away from winning a lot of games. They lose a lot of games late. Justin Herbert is now in his fifth year, and he couldn't make the playoffs before. Okay, cool. I got you. How many times that pick to Ladd McConkey was overthrown?
Yeah, that was bad.
I mean,
but it's like the
when
Sam
is he going to take
Darnold,
the next step?
It's the Sam Darnold, though. Like, it's once you get into a quarterback's
I didn't
head.
see Sam Darnold throw 4 interceptions.
Because he was too scared to throw the ball.
4 interceptions this year.
Yeah, he didn't throw the ball.
But I think that's the thing with Jim Harbaugh. Obviously, like, you can say Andrew Luck and Colin Kaepernick, but Colin Kaepernick it was a run game thing. Like, what made Kaepernick so good was like the assistance of the run game. And we don't know what J.J. McCarthy's going to be, but he also had a run game. And the Chargers, again, all of a sudden, it's like you bottle up the run, you figure out how to key in on McConaughey. Whatever, I'm just going to stick to Ladd. And it's over. Also, again, just a weird game. Like, the first quarter of that game felt like a comedy sketch.
I obviously, all the credit goes to the Texans, but it was very fluky. Like, I don't think if those teams line up 10 times that the Chargers are going to lose 9 times. No shot.
I think you split. I would say, like, you split those.
I think the Chargers are back, and I think they actually make a legitimate fight for that division with the Chiefs next year. What do you think?
That division's going to be fun. Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos. I think
especially with
NFC North, AFC West. Like, those are going to be the two divisions, I think, year in, year out.
Yeah, Andrew, you bring up a good point. It's that Chiefs offense just doesn't look the same without Kelsey, even though he's had kind of a lesser production this year. It's still just there. He's such a part of that, even when he's not catching the ball. So, yeah, I think that division just continues to get closer and closer as the Chiefs kind of maybe take a step back. I know they only had one loss this year, but I think that step is coming back. If you look at their numbers, they're not real strong. They just won a lot of close games, kind of similar to the Vikings. Vikings nothing on the stat sheet stands up to you. So, but they made their way with 14 wins. Andrew, so you think? Are you saying with Jaden Daniels, maybe we'll see kind of like Mitch was alluding to, a step back like we saw with Stroud this year? Blows the doors off in his rookie season. Teams kind of figure out his tendencies, and then we see a step back maybe from Jaden Daniels next year.
I think that's actually a great way to put it too. I don't know what Scary Terry's contract looks like. They need somebody outside of Scary Terry as help. And I believe they have Austin Eckler at running back, and who else, if you want to remind me? There's another decent.
Brian Robinson.
Yeah, another pretty good Bama guy as well. So, I mean, they've got it all, but you saw what injuries did to the Texans and C.J. Stroud. All of a sudden he doesn't have a receiver, and he doesn't know what to do at all. So, circumstances depending. It's just, especially in the NFL, it's really hard to trust, somebody's performance off of, and I get it, one season is a lot, but to base a career off one season is kind of crazy.
Well, you see it happen, and teams don't seem to learn. Front offices don't seem to learn. But Terry McClaurin's contract, he signed a 3-year, $68 million in 2022. So next season will be his last year on that contract, and then he'll be a free agent the following year, 2026. So it's one more season in Washington, guaranteed, and then we'll see what happens with him there if he wants to get more money, whatever he needs to do, obviously. But yeah, this is a team that I think a lot of people didn't have going this far in the NFL. That's for sure. With the Commanders. So let's talk about the game, the matchup. Saturday at 8. That's the slot that the NFL puts these two teams in. It'll be Lions at home. Obviously, this game will be on Fox, your local Fox station. No streaming options for this one. Lions coming in at 9.5 point favorites. What do we make of that? Does that feel like too much?
It's too much. It's too much for an NFL divisional game. Yeah, I don't again, you have to be.
That's a 4-point game.
You have to be good to get to the divisional round.
It's a 4.5 pointer.
You think it's 4.5? The official line from Andrew, 4.5.
4.75.
So to put that in perspective, Kansas City 8.5 point favorites over the Texans, Philly a 6-point favorite over the Rams, and Baltimore a 1-point favorite.
So, you know which one I have the biggest problem with? I'm sure you guys could guess.
The
whole entire division.
All the spreads?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Baltimore -1.
No, I think that's perfect. I think that could honestly be a pick'em, but I think Ravens being favored is right. What have the Chiefs done this season? What have the Chiefs done to be 8.5 point favorite? I get the Texans haven't looked that good, but they just ran over the Chargers. Yeah, they won 15 games, but
tough to do.
Do you want to talk about it, Mitch, or do you want to save it for the NFL segment?
I guess we'll save it. I just think that's trash.
Well, remind me to come back
Apparently, Andrew needs a Chiefs hat, too, to go with his Bears hat and 49ers hat.
I actually have a Chiefs stocking cap. I was using it to shovel the driveway earlier.
Yeah,
nice.
Why don't you shove it up
big blue-collar guy. No, I do want to get back to your point about, or maybe the Lady Lions point about the rest that's going to creep in for the Chiefs.
Rust.
I think that's got real legs. That for sure. All right, so speaking of rest, the Lions come off a bye, a much-needed one. They haven't had one since Week 5. They earned themselves the 1 seed. They get a bye. That's nice. Commanders came off of a win against the Bucs, of course. Everybody saw that. Dan Campbell, in his tenure after the bye, 2-1-1. Infamously, his first year off of a bye, had that tie against the Steelers. So, Dan on Dan crime, as I mentioned at the top. It's going to be for Dan of the year, you could say, this matchup. Two offenses that are highly ranked. The Lions coming in at number 2 in yards per game. Number 1 in points, have held that for most of the year. Commanders coming in at 6th ranked offense in terms of yards per game, and number 5 in points. So these teams love to put up the points. That's for sure. Andrew, did you have something?
I was just Smitty Werman Jensen that.
He was number 1. We need that sound effect. Tommy.
There you go.
Tommy, get on the YouTube, download that clip.
Don't let those numbers fool you, though, folks. We thought the same thing with the Vikings game.
Yeah, but we did. A great defense who gave up over 30 points twice to the Lions. But, for the Vikings fans that are listening, we don't have to bring that up again.
What, how about they lost to the Lions and the Rams twice in 1 year?
Yeah, how about that? Isn't that crazy? You finished the year 14-4. And you've only lost to 2 teams, one of them not in your division. That's crazy.
And one was a former Lions quarterback.
Yeah, a lot of ties there. Hey, I led into it when we did our picks last week. I said they lost to the Lions in Week 7 and lost to the Rams in Week 8. I think the same thing happened again, and then it did. So I was trying to manifest it there. I didn't have a lot of faith in the Rams, but copied a lot of what Aaron Glenn did with that defense, and it worked.
Yeah, they did.
All right, so looking at the Commanders' defense, what do you guys think about the opportunities there? Obviously, the big talk around the world is Lions should be able to run the ball. Commanders' defense against the run, bottom half, and that's putting it lightly. So, what do you guys think about the opportunity to run the ball? And of course, they'll have David Montgomery back as well, two-headed monster.
Yeah, I can already see the play action pass. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to build on that because it's not. I put this in my keys to the game. It's not just a bottom half run defense. Regular season, 29th ranked run defense. So huge opportunity for the run game. And like Andrew said, play action pass, and the Lions are one of the best, if not the best, play action pass team in the NFL.
And just that too. I think that's what they want to do. Washington knows who they are. They know that Detroit's going to try and key on that. I think that's going to be Ben Johnson's counter to that. Make it look like I'm going to run up the middle a lot and hit him early with a lot of Monty up the middle. Speaking of which, probably going to get a short touchdown, get him back into the touchdown category this week. I think he's going to do that early and play the long game on him, and then screen pass to the quick screen passes to the side. We're going to have a lot of JMO in motion catching balls. I think he's going to start the tempo really slow in the first half and then out tempo in the second.
I like that a lot. And Ben Johnson, do you guys think that Ben Johnson comes in with a little extra fire given his history with this team and kind of how that relationship kind of ended last year with the potential for him to go there?
I don't know what's going on with Ben Johnson. I agree with Andrew. I don't think he really cares that much about the Commanders, to be completely honest. If that's what that head shake, I think that's what that head shake meant. But it just depends on how close to the Raiders or leaving Ben Johnson is. I think if Ben Johnson, if talks are heating up with a team, I think Ben Johnson is going to empty the clip in these next couple games.
Leave it all on the field.
Could be very, very fun to watch for us and any NFL fan.
Yeah, we might just see Ben Johnson suit up. He might run a play for himself.
He does do high knees on the sidelines when they got one drawn up. I'm actually note to self. Remind myself to look for coaches on the sidelines now. Especially Ben Johnson, especially Dan Campbell this week, because I feel like they're going to pop off. And you guys are right. Go back to what he said last year. Unfinished business.
All these guys. Alex Anzalone, remember this year it sucks, next year it's us? Remember that infamous quote? Bought out a full page in the Free Press, I think it was. Yeah. So it's all those things. I think it was Ben Johnson today talking about how nobody on that team has forgotten about what that plane ride back from San Fran felt like last year. It's still in the back of their mind. They still have a bad taste in their mouth. This team's gonna be ready, and love that they're off of a bye. That's huge. I don't think the rust issue comes up at all. I think this team's only stronger off of a bye.
Yeah, normally I would say rust is an issue, but this team needed rest.
They sure did, and I like kind of sort of that they get to play on Saturday, so I know it's only one day different, but I kind of like the Saturday element, and then they could play, and I don't know. I like the Saturday night matchup myself. We obviously saw Amik put Justin Jefferson in a straight box last time we saw the Lions, so potentially we'll see Scary Terry versus Amik, and maybe we'll see a little Terry on Amik as well. But do you think Amik can repeat the performance from the last game against the Vikings here with the Commanders?
I don't see why not. I mean, he went out there, did his thing, was super sticky on the number one receiver in the league. So, why not?
I think it's repeatable. It's going to be tough. Going to need some help from that front line to put some pressure on Daniels and then bring him down, because we've seen what mobile quarterbacks do. Don't let this guy get some legs. And if he does get legs, God, just let him run it. Do not let him extend this to pass deep.
Absolutely. And I'll touch on that in just a minute. I just want to get back to Amik real quick. And all I'm going to say is I think he can replicate that performance. However, I don't think he can replicate one thing, and that is the quote from after the game. Can't bury what's from the dirt. I don't think he can come up with a better one after. If he gets another game ball, I don't think he can top that one. It'd be tough.
That was a sick quote.
Put it on a T-shirt already. It's already for sale. The day after that, pretty close at least. But Andrew, you bring up my next point, which is the dual threat. That's obviously always a concern for the Lions, and it's been their bugaboo, their Achilles heel a lot of times in our past. So it always comes to mind when a mobile quarterback, a dual threat, comes to town, and Jaden Daniels has been sacked 47 times. I got it in the notes here. So he's been sacked just about one short of Sam Darnold, and we saw what the Lions did to Sam Darnold. So you guys think it's a good opportunity to actually get Jaden Daniels on the ground here?
I think if AG can draw up a blitz and BB gets pads on pads and kind of lets him know, like, hey, we're out here, it could be a huge tone-setting opportunity.
Agreed. We're in full spoiler alert for my picks here, so I won't say too much, but I think they're going to have some opportunities.
They will, but they will have a tough battle for sure. This is, they've had some mobile quarterbacks. They had Kyler earlier this year. They had Anthony Richardson, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, some of those guys lesser mobile than others. And we've even seen other non-mobile quarterbacks. Who could forget Mason Rudolph against the Titans earlier this year when that one got a little out of hand in the first half.
Speaking of mobile quarterbacks, did you guys see RG3's tweets, X's, whatever the F they're called?
About this game or what?
Essentially just said, like, mobile quarterbacks are the quarterbacks of the future. And then he said 5 out of the 6 teams left. Or what? How did he say that?
Is he saying Vanilla
That's
Vic doesn't got the wheels?
Right. Or did he say, or 7 out of however he said it. Did he say 7 out of 8? I don't know. But he said something about, like, oh, these are all the mobile quarterbacks. And then he included Stafford and then said non-mobile, Jared Goff. But then right under that said, Jared Goff has more rushing yards than Matt Stafford. The argument could be made he's more mobile. So.
Well, what an idiot. RG3, though, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of obvious. I think if you said that 10 years ago, that might have been a prolific statement to make. But now I think everybody kind of knows that. Mobile quarterbacks have kind of been the in thing for a while now. So, yeah, like you guys said, Anzalone out there is certainly going to help. That defense got to fly around and replicate what they did. And when they do get to Daniels, because I think they'll get hits on Daniels, I think they'll get to him. They need to wrap him up. That's the biggest thing for sure. Like
gotta
you guys
finish
said,
on the first hit.
Cannot have a Paschal not takedown. God, he's about to trademark that.
Yeah, he is. It's not great, but hey, we'll see what these guys can do. And Pat O'Connor, he's one of those guys that would be rushing the quarterback. Sounds like he's not going to play. Big Z had that hamstring late against the Vikings. No practice this week thus far. It's not looking great for Big Z. Could have a Christian Mahogany first playoff start inbound. Rakestraw, no practice as well. It doesn't sound like they'll have him for help in the secondary. Good news is Terry on is back to practicing all week this week, and it looks like that toe, ankle, foot is doing all right. It's going to be able to play. Monty back at practice as well. He should be good to go. Deron Payne is your big one on the other side. The Commanders are actually really healthy outside of a few guys that are resting. Bobby Wagner's resting. He's listed as an ankle, but I can almost bet my life savings that we would see Bobby Wagner strap up no matter the circumstances in a playoff matchup. Deron Payne, though, had that injury against the Bucs. I don't know if you guys saw the picture online, but his thumb straight up way off the bone. So he dislocated that thumb. Will need surgery, but they've got it taped up, so he's going to have the classic club look, club over the thumb. He'll play, but obviously won't have the full mobility of that hand. But Deron Payne has been practicing, so he's going to be good to go. So seems like we're going to have two teams that are fairly well healed up here in the divisional round.
That sucks to hear about Big Z, especially after listening to Dan in his press conferences this week. Sounded like it was positive news there. I feel so bad for Pat O'Connor, though. Like, a kind of a guy that I don't know his full career, right, but kind of a guy that seems like he's hung around practice squads, and when he's got an opportunity, especially here in Detroit, he's made the most of it. I feel bad for him that he's, especially after listening to Dan, sounds like he's going to be, no matter what, he's not coming back ever.
Yeah, he's got that calf injury, not expected to play. I don't know if you guys caught the injury report as well. Today, Taylor Decker was on there for personal reasons. His wife's pregnant and probably due any day, according to reports. So don't be alarmed.
Bump. Come on, Taylor.
Yeah, we need it. That whole offensive line is just continuing to pump out the children. But so don't be alarmed, folks, for Taylor Decker being on the injury report today. Should be no issue. And but Big Z, it doesn't sound great. He hasn't been officially ruled out, yet, but it doesn't sound like he's trending in the right direction. And so maybe down another lineman. Classic Detroit Lions, down another lineman. Stop me when you've heard that before. You guys ready to talk picks? Who wants to start this week? Who started last week? Was it Mitch? Was it you, Andrew?
I think it was you.
Me?
Yeah.
Should we go with me? All right. I'll start things off. I got the Lions in this one. Shocker there. I've got a high-scoring affair. I'm going to take the over in this one. I've got Lions 38, Commanders 27. Commanders are going to give it all they got. You're going to get a big punch from this Commanders team, no doubt. I think the first half's going to be real close. The mobile quarterback situation is going to cause third and fourth down hell for the Lions. We're going to see him pick up some third and fourth downs that we just know we can't afford to. But Anzalone's going to help out there flying around. Lions are going to wear them down and win it in the second half. That's kind of the way I see this game flowing, and I think the adjustments offensive and defensively will win this game. Commanders are going to be a real threat down the road, though. This team's going to be strong next year and for years to come. They have the magic going for them right now. They're underdog, kind of Cinderella. But I think the end of the road is here against the Lions. But got a lot of respect for this team and Dan Quinn.
Me next? Okay. I've got Lions 31, Commanders 20. Alluded to it earlier. I just think the Lions are going to be able to take advantage of the Commanders' run defense, ranked 29th in the regular season. Actually tied for 29th, so you could also say tied for 30th.
Boom roasted.
Neither here nor there. Monty coming back is a huge pre-game spark plug. That's going to be awesome. It shouldn't go like Gibbs has just been unreal, but Monty being that 1-2 punch is just, it's going to wear him down. It's going to be about the defense. I trust AG. He had a perfect game plan for Darnold. That's why they got the bye. I think they're going to focus in on Jaden Daniels and Scary Terry, and those guys in the secondary can get it done. Just need a little help from up front, like we were just talking about. But Lions 31, Commanders 20, and one of those 20 might be garbage time. Some of those 20.
Love to hear that. I'm going to try to learn from 2 weeks ago, like we were talking about high-scoring affair. I'm going Lions 28, Commanders 12, and I've pretty much touched on all my points here, but if they can keep Daniels in the pocket and not let him extend pass plays without running it, I think they're the prime opportunity for a 5+ sack day. Monty's going to return. He's going to get the hard to earn runs. Didn't think Gibbs would be able to do it. Last week, though, he pushed the pile about 2-3 yards to get that touchdown. I think Monty gets his 1-yard TD back here. And I think the tight ends may also be a big difference in this game. Don't forget about Brock Wright, but I also think Laporta is going to find pay dirt.
Boom. Love it from you guys. And to touch on your point, Andrew, about the tight ends, I think you on the reverse side of things too. Watch out for Zach Ertz on that Commanders team. Famously joined the Lions, was a former Lion. Joined the Lions last year. Didn't get to play against the 49ers. I don't know if that provides him any extra chip, but ring chaser, calling him a ring chaser. But to join the Commanders though, yeah, I know, after the Lions. But hey, here he is, a veteran, a wily vet, Zach Ertz. Yeah, so Andrew,
he dreams of KJ too.
KJ who?
Do you think like all tight ends in the league are just dreaming
Kirby
of
Joseph?
Yeah.
Kirby Joe? Yeah, apparently I don't know how Vikings fans are feeling about that now, but those comments didn't injure anybody last week or last 2 weeks ago, I guess, against the Vikings. So I don't know what the big concern was there. Maybe if they meet up with Stafford again, something happens. I don't know. He's commenting again on that. He's doing a little media blitz with KJ this week. So Andrew, you say that the trend is your friend, or you say the trend is not your friend here with the 28-12. How did the Commanders get to 12?
You'll see.
Okay, I like it.
He was
No
never
spoilers.
going to answer that. I don't know why you even asked.
I don't know why you guys asked me that question. Just let the score be the score.
All right, shareholders, vote down below on Spotify and comment on our TikTok and Instagram. This might be the last prediction clip that goes on TikTok if it goes away this weekend. So this might be the last predictions for us here.
Mr. Beast is putting something together. Don't you worry.
Too many interested parties.
Yeah. Well, if that does happen, you'll catch us on Instagram. We'll still be there. So commentators in this one, it's going to be the Fox crew. It's going to be Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady, of course. Tom Brady, infamously part owner of the Raiders. Fun fact, this is the only domed game of the divisional round. All the rest of them are outdoors. And the other fun fact is the Pistons have a game on the same day as this against the Suns, and they moved their game up an hour so fans could see both. So shout out to the Pistons, and we'll see if some of those Pistons make their way to Ford Field to take in this action. Fact or fiction time, guys. All right, here's our first one. The Lions and Commanders love to go for it on fourth down. The Commanders are number 1 in the league at an 82% conversion on fourth down. Lions number 6 at 67%. And the Lions and Commanders average 1.3 conversions per game. That's tied for the third most in the league. So these two teams combined, do you think we'll see 5 or more fourth down attempts?
Ooh, fact.
I'm going to say fiction just because God damn it, I want to say fact. I'm going to say fiction, though. I'm going to say Dan's not going to put us in that position this week.
Ooh.
I like it. Yeah, I was debating on where to put this line at. I initially had it at 4. I think 4 happens. I don't know about 5, but I will take a fact. I think we're going to see these teams be aggressive. I think Dan Quinn's going to be more aggressive than Dan Campbell, but we're going to see some fourth downs from both teams. Maybe the Lions get 1 or 2, Commanders get 3. So that's the way
I think the big reason I even say that is because like the Lions don't eat like it's always like once you pass the 50, it's all 4 down territory. So it's not even like it's just not a big deal to the point where I'm watching other games now and I'm just like, why are they not going for it here? Like, why would they not? Stupid.
Right.
Mitchell, why risk the long field goal?
I'm so glad. Oh, legitimately though, Mitchell, and you hit the nail right on the head too. They'll get themselves into like a 3rd and 5 situation. Do you think they're going to pass the ball? No. They're going to run it, try to get 2 to 3 yards to go for it on 4th. Absolutely.
100%.
Oh, it's poetry to watch right now.
Yeah, that's great that you brought that up, Mitch, because I've had the same thoughts in my head. I'm like, wow, you just get so accustomed to it as a Lions fan, I guess, watching the Lions so intently, and then watching all those games last week. And yeah, I think if LaFleur continues to be conservative, it's going to make Kurt Benkirk's head explode. Also, it's nice that we can bring up Kurt Benkirk again because, boy, was he dead wrong about the Lions and the Vikings and the Packers being the top teams in the NFL playoffs.
That bum quarterback?
Yeah,
the guy who just plays video games and thinks he's sick.
Oh, Andrew didn't like that comment. The video games.
Well, I just meant he plays NFL and like breaks down like, this guy's it's too high safety.
He plays bad video games.
Okay. He plays Madden. Is what he does.
Yeah.
All right. Next fact or fiction: David Montgomery can break 100 yards in his return.
I'm gonna say fiction. I think they're still gonna lean on Jameer a ton to be the workhorse, but they are gonna bring Monty in to kind of lay the wood.
I'm also going to say fiction. Same thing. He's going to be on a pitch count most likely, and we're not going to have 200-yard rushers this week.
I'll take a fact. I'll zig here. I'll take Monty over 100, barely. I think he eclipses it by a few yards. And
102?
102. 103.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be great to have him back just to give Gibbs some rest. That's the biggest thing. Yeah. I think that concerned me about Gibbs is getting so many of the carries outshine my expectations, but I was just worried about that wear and tear, especially in a physical matchup here against a Commanders team. All right, last one. We only had 3 this week, unless you guys have any to add last minute. The announcers mess up Dan Quinn and Dan Campbell, and they get them flip-flopped. How many times does that happen?
Fiction.
I'm going to say 3 straight fictions here. Those are consummate professionals.
Whoa.
Give me a fact. We saw Tom Brady make a couple mistakes in the past, so I think he'll make one here. At least one. All right.
Like that.
Those are your fact or fiction. What's that?
A mistake like that.
Yeah, like when I just said faction? Like a little bit ago?
Like when you punched your microphone just now.
Yeah. That happens. All right. Well, Ben Johnson to the Raiders. We touched on this a little bit. We'd be wrong if we didn't bring this up, but I want to keep the focus on the Lions in the playoffs right now. But it does sound like there's some real likelihood that Ben Johnson goes to Vegas, and it also sounds like Aaron Glenn would go to Saints or another team. So could be losing both of these coordinators, but like we talked about in the past, Calvin Shepard in that defense is probably the next man up, and Tanner Inkstead on the offensive side of the ball, probably your next coordinators. So they got good guys to fill the shoes if it does happen. Last thing, I sent you guys this in the group chat, but Alex Anzalone, the Lions come out with this on their YouTube. Under the Helmet, it's a series they've done with a couple guys, and this week's was Alex Anzalone, and it was really good. We'll throw it in the notes, but a feel-good, a hype story if you want to get hype about this weekend. Something to watch before the game, and a little peek behind the scenes in Alex Anzalone's life and his trajectory to get to where he is now. It's pretty cool. All right, let's talk about the NFL in the wild card. Let's go Lions. Now we move to the other matchups. There's only 3 of them. We're down to just a few teams left in these league. Like we talked about, I thought the wild card round was a little subpar. Commanders Bucks kind of saved it for me. Was hoping that game would live up to it. It was good. I think the divisional round will be better. Obviously, Bills Ravens is going to be, I think, a Super Bowl worthy matchup.
One quick question. I did see some people talking online. This is the 5th year with the 7th seed.
Yes.
They want to get rid of the 7th seed. What's your take on that?
Because I think I saw the graphic of all the 7 seeds that have played. Only one 7 seed has ever won, and it was the Packers over the Cowboys.
And I think only like two of the other losses have been like decent games.
Right. I think
it's
trash though. Keep it the way it. There's nothing wrong with the way it is. I don't think.
I agree. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah,
I can't imagine the Packers not being in the playoffs this year. I get it, they're first round exits, but like,
right. Yeah,
it seems like there's a lot more momentum around changing the seeding than anything.
Yeah, because the Lions and the Vikings,
Yeah.
You can't have two.
Shout out to the Vikings for just almost that conversation might be dead now.
Yeah, all of a sudden nobody's talking about
True.
that. Poor Vikings. They are who we thought they
Best
are
coach
who
team
I
in the
thought they
league.
were. What's that?
Best coach team in the league.
Yeah, you still think he wins Coach of the Year?
No.
It's supposed to be. I thought it was supposed to be based on regular season.
Regular
but-
season
Yeah,
only?
it's already
Yeah.
the votes are already in, but I did hear some people saying that a lot of people got swayed in Week 18, so it could be pretty close between him and DC. I'm not going to talk about the Vikings again, but I was so frustrated watching them. Not frustrated because I didn't really care who won between the Rams and the Vikings, but just letting the clock run out at the end of the third quarter really perturbed me, and the fact that they're running the ball. It just didn't even want to win that game. Justin Jefferson's body language continues to be very poor. He's hitting the peace sign as he's walking off the field. I don't know. It's so hard to harp on him because he's a hell of a talent. But
Didn't hear
I don't
him
know.
complain about getting held.
Yeah. How about him drawing penalties too? Like flopping, like putting his head down to make it look like he's getting like tugged up. Dude, miss me with that. But the chains too. I just don't like the chains.
You know where I stand with people wearing bling on the field, man. It's too much.
And I feel like
time I
every-
see it, I want to rip it off.
I feel like every week he has a new chain. Like there's more. Like it just continues to grow. And
Mitchell
and I
knows
mean,
we're too old. I could tell by the look on his face. Like, you two are old.
he's calling us boomers right now. Silently calling us boomers. Shout out to the YouTube.
I'm with you guys. I just was reserving my thoughts.
Of course,
Ben,
of
who
course.
was it? Was it Aqib Talib that ripped off somebody's, or did he get his
chain.
ripped off?
The chain snatcher.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, was it Aqib's chain that got snatched, or was he the one that snatched it?
I think Aqib's chain got snatched.
I don't remember, but speaking of Talib, we could use him back in the booth. I could go for another game with him there.
I knew you were going to find a way to get back to this. Speaking of getting back to things, Mitch, do you want to talk about the Rest versus Russ that the Lady Line brought up?
Jeez.
Yeah, so Lady Line number 2 brought up an excellent point when it comes to the Chiefs and their matchup against the Texans, which I do have the Chiefs, unfortunately, but I think, what did I tell you guys? It's like 24 days or 21? Was it 24?
I think it's 24 because they played on that Wednesday, right?
They played Christmas, so 24 days since the Chiefs starters have last played. So I think it is an interesting matchup. You got the Texans, who kind of just showed everyone, like, hey, actually, we remembered how to do this thing on offense, and our defense is still pretty good, so riding high. And Chiefs team that has not played in a while, and I don't know, we'll see.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a close game, but I don't. I think the Chiefs, in their black voodoo magic, figure out a way to get it done.
and there's almost no way that the rust doesn't affect them. I don't care who you are, how many times you practice.
Yeah, definite rust. 24 days.
Yeah,
It's been almost a month.
yeah, that's insane, and something we've probably never seen before. Just from that, and I was looking at their scores from all the games this year, and they've put up 30 even a couple times. I think three times they put up 30 points even, but they have yet to score over 30 points in any of their games. So something to watch there in the Texans game with the Texans defense. If they can play like they did against the Chargers, I think they can make that a real game. Last thing before we talk picks is I looked up Aqib Talib, and he snatched the chain of none other than Michael Crabtree.
Crabtree. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, you're right. As soon as you said started to say Crabtree, I remembered it.
Yeah, Michael Crabtree, when he was with the Raiders, they were still in Oakland at the time. It was a divisional matchup with Talib out there in Denver. So, all right, let's move to the spreadsheet and discuss these 4 matchups. Well, actually 3, because the Lions are obviously one of these matchups. So, first one on Saturday at, let me check the time here. I got to remember, 4:30 Eastern on Saturday. It's the Texans going into Arrowhead against the Chiefs. Texans off of that big win against the Chargers. Kansas City off the bye. ESPN, ABC, or ESPN Plus if you want to watch this one. Should be a sunny day, but it's going to be chilly in the mid-20s, low 20s, potentially by the end of the game. I went against the Texans last week. I'm going to take the Texans here for a couple reasons. Actually, just one reason, and that is I picked the Lions to play the Texans in the Super Bowl, so I got to take the Texans. I just got to do it.
No, you don't.
That's fair.
I got it.
I said my pick. I'm on Chiefs. Go ahead, Andrew.
I'll take the Chiefs as well. Just That rest versus rust debate really does kind of mess with my thought process there, though.
Yeah, your psyche is affected.
Who you guys got in the next one?
Well, I want to say real quick that the Chiefs did beat the Texans in Week 16, 27-19. So, a little food for thought. That's when Tank Dell went down. So, and a little fun fact that all these teams have played each other, minus the Lions and Commanders. All these other teams have played each other in the other rounds. So there you go.
There we go.
We've all got the Lions.
The following week we got Eagles. Or Rams, that is, going to the Eagles, take on Philadelphia. Going to be on Peacock. 43.5 is your over-under in that one. And what is Philly favored by 6 in this?
That's right.
And we got any weather? Rain, snow mix, 50%. This one could be tough, and I think that's what kills the Rams, too. They're a pass-heavy team. Got to get Nakua. Got to get Kupp the ball. Those kind of weather conditions, they're not going to be ready for it.
Yeah, I'm hoping the weather holds off here. It's strength on strength. The Eagles have, top 2 offensive line unit in the NFL up there with the Lions, and their specialty is the pass defense for sure. It's going to depend a lot on Jalen Hurts. I think if Jalen Hurts plays well, the Eagles probably get it done. I just picking with my gut a little bit here. I think I'd like to see the Rams win, and I think they can get it done. I think this is closer than a 6-point spread. Feels like a lot for this one.
It does. All of these spreads kind of questionable this week. Just bumped it up. Got the latest report from the meteorologist. It's now up to a 60% chance of rain snow mix in the afternoon for that game. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be a big thing as far as the snow's not going to pile up and it's not going to be a soaker. So we'll see what that rain snow mix actually shows. But it does sound like it's getting more likely that happens. Yeah, I've got the Eagles in this one. I think I've got in my notes right there. Rams have had a nice run here. I think they've exceeded expectations. They've found themselves here in the divisional round after a big win against the Vikings. They showed out against the Vikings. I think they showed everything they had against the Vikings, and I think they just don't have enough for the Eagles here. But I do think you're right, Mitch. I think it could be closer than that 6-point spread indicates. So I'll take the Eagles. And of note, the Eagles beat the Rams 37-20 in Week 12. Last matchup, the huge one, Sunday night-ish, kind of, 6:30 Eastern on CBS. This one will be Romo and Nance. This one's outdoor as well. Could have some snow flurries in this one. Doesn't sound like heavy snow, but temperatures down there, 10 to 15 degrees. It's going to be cold. And Baltimore, 1-point favorites in this one. I will take the Bills here, and it looks like you guys aren't on the same train as me.
I like the Ravens. Ravens just look so good. Obviously, the Bills look good against the Broncos, but something about when the Ravens get going, and we were talking about beforehand, I wouldn't want any part. You guys could be helping me. I wouldn't take the 3 of us versus Derrick Henry in 10 degrees. No. I think the Ravens get it done.
Absolutely nailed it, man. That is exactly what swayed it for me.
I'm not going to be much help on that tackle.
Hell. Count me out, man. I would be on the sidelines. You'll be hard pressed to find me on the field. I'll be in the stands at best. Absolutely sold me on it. I don't know who wants to take a hit from Derrick Henry full speed and single degree weather. Give me the Ravers.
The Ravers it is for you guys, and I'll take the Bills. And I don't love this. The Ravens beat the Bills in Week 4, 35-10. So it was a whomping. So it doesn't bode well for my pick here with the Bills. I just think it's the Bills' year. I think they got a little good thing going, and I think they find a way. This one's close, though, for sure, and a great matchup. I'm excited to be able to watch that one. All of these matchups should provide great things this weekend in the divisional round, and then after that, we'll be down to 4 teams. It's incredible. This season continues to move at such a rapid pace. We want to thank you all, shareholders, for being here all season long, and for those of you showing up, new shareholders showing up, we appreciate you too. Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this show. If you did, rate it 5 stars, click like, click follow, and follow us on YouTube. And if you want to watch all the video content and see our ugly mugs, also follow the TikTok until they take it away from us, and Instagram as well as the backup. We'll be back Sunday following the recap of the Lions and Commanders. Let's go, Lions. Beat the Commanders. I'm out. We'll see you all next episode.
Meow.